Afternoon and welcome to Upper Michigan Today. I'm Sue McQuaid. And to begin our show today, my special guest is Dr. Rodney Clarken. He is the Director of Laboratory Field Experiences, the Department of Education at Northern Michigan University. And we're here to talk about peace education. And of course, everybody out there is saying, well, we all want peace. What do you mean? You know, we're educated. We know that we want peace. But we're really here to talk about how we can apply peace education to our children.
Right. I think that we all want peace, and that's something that mankind has longed for centuries. I think today we can realize peace, and I think the question is not whether peace is possible, but how peace is going to happen. I think we have two options. One is either through some horrible Holocaust or some catastrophic kind of happening in the world, or we can get together, sit down and consult and come to some peaceful resolutions to problems. I don't think we're going to do that, though, unless we start educating people to be able to resolve conflicts in peaceful ways.
Mm-hmm. Is it too late, or do we have a new beginning here? Or?
Well, I think that's for us to decide if it's too late or not. I think we need to begin the process of educating people for peace.
How do we begin that?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is recognize that the root cause of war and wrongdoing is ignorance. And that expresses itself in prejudice. This prejudice then leads to injustice in various forms, which creates disunity in our societies throughout the world, and ultimately that leads to war. You cannot have those kind of situations and have a stable society.
We, of course, realize that education is important, but we put limitations on it. And
yes.
we've all heard it, you know, well, we won't have art and we won't have music, we'll just teach the basics. Yes. So where does peace education fit in?
Well, as you talk about we won't teach art or music, last night I was walking by a door and I saw a poster on the door, and it says when they have to start having bake sales to pay for B-51 bombers and that education is properly funded, then we can expect peace to happen. I think that's part of it. We don't put enough emphasis on education. We tend to downplay it. On the other hand, sometimes we put too much expectation on what education within the schools can do. It's unrealistic to expect that teachers can take care of all the social, moral, and kind of needs that exist in our society. Some of those needs are permeating schools, and I think schools need to address them, but society also needs to address them.
Mm-hmm. All right, then we as parents, how can we help our children with peace education?
Well, I think the first line is to start dealing with our own prejudices. And I think there are 5 prejudices that stand out as being the most harmful and the greatest cause of disunity and injustice in our world. The first of those is racism. Racism has been with us for centuries, and its influence has been very, very harmful to the development of human potential around the planet. We need to address this kind of prejudice and injustice in our society, and we need to address it in schools. We can do that partly by starting to teach a different view of history instead of having such a view from one racial perspective. I think the second area that education can deal with is in the field of sexism. I think the inequality between the sexes in our society is a potent cause of war. It leads to an unbalanced view of human nature. And I think not until women are given their equal right in our society, not only within the homes, but also within the workplace and within international affairs, will peace actually be realized. Education can certainly play an important role in this by educating girls at least as much as they educate boys, by not having lower expectations for what girls can do as opposed to boys. A third area that I think is very harmful is the area I call classism. This area deals with the inequities and the prejudices of one class towards another class, and it's towards the lower class peoples. These people are denied equal opportunities at education. They're given an inferior education. They're given inferior opportunities within our society. And this creates inequities that lead to instability. It's not so apparent in our country, but in other countries, in which I've lived in Africa and I've traveled throughout South America and the Caribbean, you'll see that the gap creates such a tension within that society that you realize that it can't continue to exist. The fourth prejudice that I think we need to deal with, and I'm speaking not only within our society but our schools, is that of nationalism. And in here I'm talking about extreme patriotism that blinds you to the values and qualities of other nations. And I think that it is very harmful in this world that is every day shrinking, that is becoming a global village. It is no longer acceptable to look at other peoples as somehow inferior to us or separated from us. We are connected economically, we are connected socially, we are connected in the effects. When you look at the news, something that happens in Russia is definitely going to influence us and vice versa. The last area that doesn't have so much to do with education, but I think is a prejudice that has caused more wars than any of the other ones, and that is religious prejudice. In the past and today we see various religious factions fighting against one another. To me, this is such a paradox that religions which have been brought in the name of love and brotherhood and unity have become the cause of hate and violence and destruction.
Yes.
To me, I think the religious peoples of the world must re-examine their hearts to see and to go back to the foundations of their teachings, which all teach to do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Exactly. John 3:16, I remember that.
Good.
But peace education in itself is, in other words, looking at what we're doing as far as the education is concerned, and then looking towards the future for our children's sake, to be able to help them deal with these prejudices.
Definitely.
Thank you for being here to share that with us. And today marks the first day. Every Wednesday we will be dealing with a different educational subject.
Yes.
With your help in Northern Michigan University. So we look forward to discussing more.
Thank you.
I appreciate
I'm glad I
it.
could be here.
And stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.